Since April 6 this year, the West African country of Liberia has been cut off from the world. But for 2,500 US Marines and naval and air support. Clearing their guns as they fly in, they never know what to expect. US links with Liberia are strong and relate to the country's origin in the late 1800s as a haven for freed US slaves. Until peace was once again restored last week, the fighters were controlling downtown Monrovia for the first time in this war.
This time I'm moving on the enemy.
This time I'm moving on the enemy. I'll continue until we reach the bridge and cross. I'm not turning back. This war resembles no other. Many of the fighters believe they're invincible to bullets. And sometimes that they do not even need guns. Any old drain pipe will do. A strong belief in African voodoo or juju underpins much of the recklessness of this war.
We love the music. There's some music.
We love the music. This is music. They play it fantastically. We'd call it the sound of death.
It's the sound of music to us.
But in reality, the spirits give these young fighters no extra protection. Death is, of course, inevitable in these very real battles. But for many young Liberians, it's not the killing that counts. Opportunism thrives. There's not a shop or building in Monrovia that hasn't been looted. In the US-run Greystone compound, 20,000 displaced people have been sheltering. It's also here that many of the looted goods turn up, in stalls scattered throughout the compound. And next door to the Greystone camp, Tina, a nurse, recently arrived home to find her house ransacked. Monrovians have weathered this war since 1990. Many Liberians like Tina have suffered it all before, and she now feels desperate to see an end to the mayhem.
I have been here for the past 3 wars. I was first affected on Guerrilla Street 1990 like this. And I'm really discouraged about working and re-establishing my life. I'm sure all Liberians feel that we are so tired of the war. We want peace. We want to live a normal life.
Thus far, despite a series of ceasefires, fighting has always resumed, each time more ferociously than ever before. And now there are ominous signs that these young fighters are engaging in another type of atrocity, cannibalism. At an NPFL checkpoint, 2 dead bodies lie in the middle of the road. Exhausted NPFL fighters rest after a hard battle. They told us the dead fighters were captured alive. Around about 6 o'clock, we were attacked. They all came to loot. They were going all around here, naked. They came to loot the construction compound. We managed to arrest 3 or 4 of them alive. Then the fighters said that they killed the captives and removed their hearts and livers to eat later. Some said they prefer the meat cooked, but their commander, Major Vamu, claimed that he eats it raw. Anybody who is your enemy, you can eat him. If I know there's somebody who wants to kill me, I'll grab you, I will eat you raw. Yes. We eat it, we eat it, we eat it. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Tempera. I'm going to eat this Lieutenant General's heart. He's a rebel. It's an ambiguous and harsh practice. It's also West African juju, evil magic, which only helps to kill more Liberians.
Just as you cook normal soup.
Just as you cook normal soup, like black pepper, onions, seasoning, all the ingredients or groceries that will make the soup really nice. And they'll cook it, but it isn't all the soldiers that would eat that particular meat. There are only certain members of the group that will eat that meat. mostly from some ethnic background.
Mostly from some ethnic background.
Well, large number of fighters are involved in these practices. And they are doing that because they have the belief that by killing an enemy and eat the enemy heart, then you have overcome him, and all the power that lies in that enemy is now in you. That is one way. They also do it to show that they are the strongest person. Yeah, these are some of the reasons that they do that. But almost all the factions, they have been practicing that. But it is something that most people do not know about it because it's done mainly on the front line.
Last week, the West African peacekeepers ECOMOG flooded the streets of Monrovia with 2,000 extra troops. For now, the fighters have been forced off the streets, confined to their looted cars. But it will not be easy for ECOMOG to contain the wild childishness of these young warriors. There's a fearless naivety which makes them awkward to deal with. But this time, the peacekeepers have been prepared to use force to drive the young fighters from the city's centre. There's a tense standoff, with ECOMOG increasingly nervous about dealing with the factions.
You'd be surprised that some of them come and sit on the table with you unless they told you that they are cannibals or they have participated in those kind of brutalities. You wouldn't know. They speak normally, like any normal human being. They discuss intelligently with you. And I must admit that they negotiate. We negotiate with them. They talk sensibly.
Charles Taylor leads the most powerful faction, the NPFL. The cannibalistic scenes filmed were amongst his own troops, but he distances himself from such practices.
We have heard of these acts in the field on the part of the other side, outright, overt cannibalism, and as you mentioned, brutality. These are issues of war.
As West Africa's rainy season sets in, Taylor's cross-dressing supporters now have to lay down their arms. They are Liberia's native people. They feel colonized and carry a deep sense of injustice.
There is no organized, civilized war. Death is death, whether you humanely, quote-unquote, shot by a bullet that one said, I'm going to shoot you, or whether it was a stray bullet. There's no, death is death. The solution is to stop the war, and everything stops.
The US has for the first time been caught in the front line of this war, but the battleships off the coast cannot stay forever. For now, they are supporting both ECOMOG and the tottering Liberian government, but the US says another setback would make them reconsider.
I think the faction leaders have not had the political will or not had the good faith to carry out their side of the Abuja agreement. Ergo, we are putting into place some sticks as well as the carrots that we've had out there for a long time. The first stick being travel sanctions. We're hoping other countries will follow our example on that.
Back at the NPFL checkpoint, where the grisly cannibalistic scenes were earlier filmed, the fighters are grumpy. They've been told to put down their guns and leave the city. They're going along with whatever loot they can hurriedly gather. They remain unashamed by the ethics of cannibalism.
It is a real meat.
It tastes like real meat. If you tasted it, you'd like to eat it every day. I think next time you come to visit, you can taste it for yourself. See how it tastes. Do you want to see some pieces? No, they're not here now. They're at the Cameron base. Once the loot is loaded, they bid farewell to Monrovia. Most of them are still young children, but they're taking home memories and conditioning that will haunt them in Liberia for the rest of their lives. And nearby, the evidence will soon vanish, until that is, the next round of fighting breaks out.
I'm looking at the long-time situation, condition of the state. because if they are not rehabilitated now, it will be a problem in the future. Because when these people shall have attained the age of adulthood, who will be the future leaders of this country? Can you imagine people so vicious, hostile, and uneducated now to lead you?
As Monrovians again come out onto the streets, life is getting back to normal. How long the country remains in peace depends on the warlords and their wild supporters. But there are issues raised on the front lines of Liberia which can't be ignored. Ordinary Liberians have already suffered enough.